Good afternoon, all of you. So let's start our today's session. Uh, Today we will be discussing design of basic control unit. Okay. And in last lecture, what we have discussed? In last lecture, we have discussed the instruction format and the instructions. So in instructions, we have discussed which are the memory reference instruction, which are the register reference instruction, which is the input output instruction. So all those things we have discussed. Okay, and then we have discussed that how those instructions will be interpreted. So in this lecture or in today's session, we will continue. We will move forward from that point. Now, before starting with actual discussion, okay. So before starting with actual discussion, let me write down some of the supplementary topic for that. So our today's topic discussion is control unit of basic computer. Okay, it is control unit of basic computer. But before directly jumping into the control unit, okay, let's have some. Before directly jumping on control unit, let's have some discussion on terminology, the types of control units in CPU or in computer architecture. So there are two type of control unit. The first one is hardwired. Okay, and second one is microprogrammed. Okay, so there are two type of control unit, hardwired and microprogram. Let's see that what is the hardwired control unit and what is the microprogram control unit. The control unit which is implemented with logic circuit and logic gates. Okay, the control unit which is implemented with the help of logic circuit and logic gates, it is known as hardwired control unit. And control unit which is implemented with control unit which is implemented using control, or you can say microprogram control. Microprogram control memory. Okay, so hardware control unit will be implemented using logic gates, logic circuits and gates, while microprogram control unit will be implemented with the help of control, or you can say microprogram control memory. Now, next difference is hardware control unit is faster, while microprogram control unit is slower in terms of execution. Next comparison difference, hardware control unit. In hardware control unit, we cannot add any instruction. So the instruction set, all instruction set, or you can say the instructions of CPU or architecture, will be fixed. While in case of microprogram, instruction can be altered. Okay, instruction can be altered. Most of RISC computers belongs to the hardwired. Most of CISC. Full form of RISC is reduced instruction set architecture. Reduced instruction set architecture. And CISC means complex instruction set architecture. So the generation of processor which we are using nowadays, it belongs to the CISC. Here, in case of hardwired, few or limited number of addressing modes will be there. In microprogram control unit, we can have more addressing mode. So whenever you will purchase any processor from market, okay, it can contain either hardware or microprogram control unit. Hardware control unit will be implemented using logic gate, while in case of microprogram, it will be implemented using control, or you can say microprogram control memory. Then hardware will be faster in terms of execution, while microprogram will be slower compared to the hardware. Instruction set of architecture will be fixed, so we cannot alter anything in hardware. Why? Because everything is implemented using circuit. So if you want to add anything, then we have to change the circuit. So that will it is very difficult. So we cannot change, or we cannot add, remove, update any. We cannot perform any operation on instructions. While in case of microprogram, we can alter the instruction. We can change it. The RISC processor belongs to the hardware, and CISC processor belongs to microprogram. In hardware, there will be very limited or few number of addressing modes, while in case of microprogram, many addressing modes will be there. Why I'm repeating all these things? Because in exam, this question is asked many times, that differentiate hardware and microprogram control. Now, control unit. So what is control unit? How we will define the control unit? So if we write the formal definition of control unit, then we can say computer unit, computer unit which will generate control signals to perform various operations on data is known as control unit. So in simple terminology, if we say, then in our body, our brain is control unit. Why? Because or all the activity, all physical as well as mental activity will be managed by brain. So brain is control unit in our body. So similarly, control unit in CPU will perform or it will generate the control signal to perform the certain operations on data, which is the sometimes it will perform operation on data, sometimes it will operate the hardware, sometimes it will diagnose the system for error. So control unit will be responsible for, we can say that, overall execution of program in computer. Okay, all of you clear with this? All of you clear with this? Anybody is having any query, any doubt in this? Should we move forward? Okay. So let's try to discuss basic architecture of control unit. Okay, that how control unit will work. So let me draw a basic architecture of control unit. On top, there will be instruction register. Then we will have decoder. Then here we will have control unit, control logic gate, or you can say control circuit. Here we will have another decoder. There will be sequence counter. So let's do the mapping. Let me try with this if I can delete this one and draw it correctly, properly. Don't worry. So this is the IR. Let's label all the components. This is IR. This is 3 cross 8 decoder. This is 4 cross 16 decoder. This is 4-bit sequence counter. This is control logic gate. bit number 0 to 11, bit number 12, 13, 14, 15. Let's connect all the component. This is decoder. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 7. Okay. So this input will be marked as a D0 to D7. Okay. We will be remembering this D0 to D7. Why? Because in instruction cycle, we will be discussing this part only. Then bit number 15. It is for indirect addressing mode bit to specify whether the addressing mode will be direct or indirect. This is 4-bit sequence counter. What is role of sequence counter? Sequence counter will generate the timing signal. So this is timing signal T0, 0, 1, 2, 3. It will be up to 14 and 15. T0 to T15. We will have 15 timing signal. And input to this will be increment, clear, and clock will be there. Few additional input will be also there. There will be control output. Okay. Let's draw the timing signal diagram. So this circuit, working of this circuit will be explained in just a minute. Let me draw the timing signal. So you can have idea that how this will work. So let's give the label so we don't have any confusion. Let's say this is timing signal T0, this is timing signal T1, this is timing signal T2, this is timing signal T3. Okay. So it start with the you can say rising edge, and it will this timing signal will start with this rising edge. If you people have if you can remember that rising edge flip flop and falling edge flip flop latch is okay. So this timing signal, so this timing signal will start at this rising edge and it will continue till the next rising edge. If we draw the timing signal, okay, so let me draw it in very different colors. T0, T1, T2, T3. So these are the timing signals. Okay, I've drawn it using different figure. Okay, different color, so you can have idea that why or what is the need of this timing signal. Now, whenever any instruction will be there in IR, okay, so bit number 12, 13, and 14 will be used to decode or to find out the operation, which operation is to be performed. Okay, so D0 it is for, let's say, and D1 is for add. Okay, likewise, so D0 to D7 are for the various operations. Now, D0 to D6, D0 to D6, it is for memory reference instruction. Okay, it is for memory reference instruction. D7 will be for IO or register reference instruction. IO or register reference instruction. Okay, let me show you the previous diagram. Yes, here it is. Okay, in previous lecture, we have discussed instruction format. Yes. So here you can see this is D0, D1, D2, D3, D4, D5, D6. Okay, so if output is in range of D0 to D6, then it is memory reference instruction. This is D7. This is also D7. Okay, here we will use or we will consider that I bit. Okay, we will consider this last bit, this one. Okay, so if that bit is okay, if value of I is 0, then it is register reference. If value of I is 1, then it is IO, input output, IO reference instruction. Clear with this? Okay. So in this case, this decoder will help us to figure out that which operation is to be performed, whether it is memory reference or it is IO or register reference. If it is D7, value is D7, then bit number 15 will be checked, and if it is 1, then it will be IO, and if it is 0, then it is register reference. So for register reference it is 0, for IO it is 1. Now, whenever an instruction will be executed, okay, then that entire instruction will be divided into multiple steps. Let's say step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Okay, for example, we are having one instruction, we are having one instruction 3. Let's say D3. Okay, now this D3 is taking 3 timing signals, so T0, T1, and T2. Okay, once we are done with the 3 timing signal, then we should reset this timing signal. So it will start from T0, okay, and it will fetch the next instruction, it will decode it, that we will see in upcoming lectures, instruction cycle. So if we are having control function like D3, T3, so at that timing signal, we will set sequence counter to 0. That means instruction is over. Okay, now how we will generate the timing signal for this? Okay, so for all the instruction, we will use this 4-bit sequence counter for generating the timing signal. Here you can see we are having 3 input increment, clear, and clock. Okay, clock is for maintaining synchronization, INR is for generating the next timing signal, and clear is for, let's say, once we are done with the instruction, execution of instruction, then resetting the timing signal to T0. Okay, so how this will take place, let me explain you with example. Okay, so let me draw D3 over here. Okay, if it is, let's say D3 is enabled in T2 only. Okay, but whenever at T3 at this time, sequence counter will be cleared. Okay, so clear input of sequence counter will be set to 1. So instruction execution will be over. Okay, and next instruction will be fetched. Now, whenever next instruction will be fetched, again it will start from T0, T1, it means T2, T3, it will move on in that direction. So at max we are having T15. So if there is an instruction, then the execution of that instruction must be over by T15. It must be over by T15. So all the instruction will start at T0, okay, but it must be over by T15. At timing signal T15, it should be over, okay, in worst case. Once we are done with the T0, we should set, or we should give the input of INR to 1. So we will give 1, then from T0 it will shift to T1. Then again, if we are done with the second step, then we will give 1 to INR. So from T1 it will shift to T2, T3, okay, T4. So for each instruction, we will have a control function like this. Okay, if D3 means a particular instruction is there and timing signal T5 is there, so in by T5 sequence counter should be reset. Okay, so it Computer will consider that execution of that instruction is over by timing signal T3 or T4, whatever we have mentioned, and then it will reset it. Once the sequence counter will be set to 0, what will happen? Next instruction will be fetched into IR. It will be decoded. Again, let's say if instruction is memory reference instruction, then it will give us output in range of D0 to D6. Okay, D0 to D6. And if it is IO or register reference, then D7. So it will be decoded over here. Then whatever sequence counter will be there, it will be increment, means it will be started with 0, then it will be incremented by 1. So this role of decoder is to simply convert binary input into the decimal. So if we will give 0000 over here, then it will give output on T0. If we will make it 001, means we will increment it, then it will give output on T1. Okay, if we will make it, let's say 10, then it will give output on T2. If we will increment it 11, then it will give output on T3. So this timing signal means instruction will be divided into steps, and this timing signal T0 to T15 will be responsible for executing those steps. The instruction or the information about these steps will be stored into the control memory. Okay, it will be stored into the control memory. That is microprogram control. That is microprogram control. So the step information will be stored into the control memory, microprogram control memory. All of you clear with this? Anybody is having any query, any question, any doubt in this? What about others? All of you are clear with this? Okay, just a minute. So next topic or next part from this unit is the instruction cycle. Okay, It is the instruction cycle. So let's try to discuss the instruction cycle. Let's discuss it. Just before few minutes, I mentioned that instruction will have different phase, different steps. Okay, so which are those steps? Let's try to discuss uh, which are the steps in instruction cycle. Step 1, fetch instruction from memory. Fetch instruction from memory. Step number 2, decode the instruction. Decode instruction. Step number 3, read effective address of operand from memory. And last step, execute instruction. Okay, execute instruction. Now, if we are having memory reference instruction, let's say register reference instruction and IO instruction. Okay, then in memory reference instruction, fetching instruction, decoding the instruction, and read the effective address of operand, and then execute the instruction. In case of register reference and IO reference instruction, fetching the instruction, decode the instruction, this step won't be there, and execute the instruction. And in case of IO instruction, fetch, decode, this won't be there, and execute the instruction. So some of the steps are optional. Some of the steps are optional. Now, this is what we have discussed in last lecture. In last lecture, I told you that this is RAM. This is CPU. So whenever you will compile any code, it will be converted into the bytecode. It will be divided into two parts. Your program will be divided into two parts. Instruction part and data part. So data part will hold all the information or the variable details, variable data. Okay. In instruction part, all the instructions of the program will be stored. So whatever operation you will specify, like let's say if you are writing C program for performing addition of two numbers, then it will be stored into instruction part. It will be mentioned or it will be stored into the instruction part. And whatever variable you are using in program, that will be stored into the data part. That will be stored into the data part. Uh, so how instruction will be executed? Okay, this is the one of the most important concept. This is the one of the most important concept from this unit. So let's draw the instruction cycle and let's try to understand that. Okay, that how it will work or how it will be executed, how instruction will be executed. Okay, we will start with setting sequence counter to 0. Then we will load program counter value into address register. Starting address of your program. Next, it is not allowing me to talk correctly. Next, whatever address we have specified, okay, fetch the instruction from there. IR is equals to M of AR, and we will increment the program counter. PC is equals to PC plus 1. We will increment the program counter. So it will point towards the next instruction. Next, what we have seen here, okay, bit number 12, 13, and 14. Bit number 12, 13, and 14. We will decode it. We will set the value of 5 if bit number 15 is 1. And whatever address is there, 0 to 11, that will be transferred into AR, address register. So this part will be done in next clock cycle. So let me write down all these things, whatever we have done. Decode IR bit number 12, 13, and 14 for decoding the operation. Then in address register, we will store bit number 0 to 11. Okay, and then we will set the I bit if bit number 15 of IR is 1. Okay, if it is 0, then I will be set to 0. So this is the initial step. After that, okay, as I told you that after decoding this, we will have output from D0 to D6 or D7. So we will check whether output is from D7 or not. Okay. So if it is from D7, then we will check for I. Okay. But if it is not from D7, then automatically it will become the memory reference instruction. Automatically it will become the memory reference instruction. So what we will do here, we will check D7. Okay, we will check the value of D7. If value of D7 Okay, here we will again check the value of I. Okay, if value of I is 0 or 1, or in this case, so let me draw the flow so you can have idea how actually that flow will go. If value of D7 is 1, then we will check the value for I. We will label all these parts so you can have idea that how it will work. Now let me put label. Okay, if value of D7 equals to 1, if value of D7 equals to 0, if value of I equals to 1, okay, if value of I equals to 0, if value of I equals to 0, and if value of I equals to 1, and value of I equals to 0. Okay, so let me put the description. If D7 equals to 1, okay, if D7 equals to 1, and value of I is what? That means it is input output IO instruction. Okay, it is input output instruction. After executing the instruction, it will set sequence counter to 0. If D7 equals to 1 and I equals to 0, then it is register reference instruction. And we will set sequence counter to 0 after executing the instruction. Next, if D7 is 0, that means it is a memory reference instruction. And if it is memory reference instruction, I equals to 1, that means indirect addressing mode. Then we have to retrieve the effective address of operand. So AR is equals to M of AR. And if it is 0, that means direct addressing mode. Then nothing will be done. Then execute memory reference instruction, and after executing the memory reference instruction, set sequence counter to 0. Now, whatever we have said here, that we will, you can say, divide instruction is into the part T0, T1, T2. Okay, so let me put label over there. So at T0, we will load the value into program, value of program counter into address register. At T1, we will fetch the instruction. At T2, we will decode the instruction. Okay. At T3, we will execute the instruction if it is IO or register reference. Okay, in case of memory reference instruction, indirect addressing mode, T3, we will return the effective address of operand, and direct addressing mode, we will do nothing. Here, the clock cycle will be wasted if it is direct addressing mode. And then T4, in many cases, T5, in many cases, T6, that we will see. So T4, T4, T5 or T6, it continue with the instruction till the execution is over. And once the execution is over, then set the sequence counter to 0. So as I told you, that once we will set sequence counter to 0, next instruction will be fetched from the memory. It will be decoded into the memory. Okay. So let me put some more label. This is either, let's say, register or IO instruction. If it is 1, then it is IO. If it is 0, then it is register. If it is D7 is 0, then let's say memory reference instruction. If it is 1, then let's say indirect. If it is 0, then direct addressing mode. So this is how an instruction cycle works. Okay, these are the various stages of instruction from which it will pass. Okay. Anybody is having any query, any doubt in this? Anybody is having any query, any doubt in this, whatever we have discussed? Okay, so in this lecture, we will keep up to this. In next lecture, we will be discussing the register reference instruction and then memory reference instruction, and we will combine this control circuit diagram and instruction cycle to see that how instruction will be executed. Okay. So in today's lecture, we have discussed what is design of basic control unit, what is the hardware control unit, what is microprogram control unit, and then the timing diagram, component of control unit, and then we have discussed the instruction cycle. So with this, let's complete today's lecture session.